Okay, so if there was a leaderboard consisting of the most successful U-boat commanders, Captain Hans Rose perhaps would not be number one, but he was one of the most respected and highly decorated German U-boat commanders of the First World War. Rose embarked on some crazy adventures that deserve to be told, always professional, courageous, and humane to his adversaries, utilizing a sharp wit. These are a few interesting tales about him during the First World War. It was in October 1916 when an unexpected visitor entered the Newport harbor on Rhode Island, United States. The Fregattenkapitän Hans Rose, commander of the U-53, one of Germany's largest submarines, slowly entered the harbor of the neutral country. He was received by the harbor authorities, albeit just because they were curious to meet the man that had sunk more than 30 Allied ships and neutral ships. Hans Rose had already made a reputation for himself during the war. Nobody understood why he undertook the journey and put in the effort to cross the Atlantic Ocean. United States Rear Admiral Austin Knight, who questioned Rose, assumed his guests wanted to use the repair facilities or even surrender and be interned, but Rose merely requested to send an envelope containing a letter destined for the German ambassador in Washington. If he was allowed to send the letter, several high-ranking officers of the United States would be allowed to take a look on board of his U-53. These officers did not want to pass up on that opportunity, and so it happened. Rear Admiral Austin Knight and Rear Admiral Albert Gleaves went aboard of the U-53. Gleaves even brought his wife and daughter to show them the submarine. The photographs shown on screen are actual photographs of the U-53 in Newport. I think that's pretty cool. Later that afternoon, letter sent, U-boat shown, the submarine, and Rose once again left for the ocean. A whole crowd had gathered, wondering what the Germans were doing there, and watched them leave. They didn't expect the rest of the weekend would bring much more excitement. I mean, a German U-boat in the harbor, out of nowhere. What could top that? But the next morning, the harbor once again was filled with a crowd. This time, several survivors of merchant ships that were sunk arrived on shore. And guess who sunk them? Hans Rose and his U-53. So what happened was that as soon as Captain Rose reached the international waters, he positioned himself on trading routes, waiting until targets that were worth sinking entered his scope. At 6:30 a.m., the British freight steamer Strathleen, transferring war material to France, was forced to a halt with a warning shot. Rose allowed the crew to leave the ship, and once it was abandoned, it was sunk with a couple of well-aimed torpedoes. The next victim was a Norwegian tanker, sunk after the crew abandoned the ship. That evening, the British passenger liner Stefano, the Dutch steamer Blommersdijk were sunk, and once again, Rose allowed the crew to disembark on a lifeboat, this time even pulling them towards the lightship Nantucket before returning and downing another hostile freight steamer on his way to Newport. During this whole endeavor, 3 British destroyers were trying to hunt down the submarine, while American ships were out to help the survivors. Hans Rose managed to evade capture after he sunk the Norwegian, Dutch, and British ships. With a feeling of flair, Rose greeted the US sailors around the Nantucket lightship by hoisting the German flag before going underwater and disappearing. There is another entertaining and funny anecdote about Captain Hans Rose. On the 6th of April 1917, the United States formally declared war on Germany and entered the First World War. That same day, the 3,000 tons weighing United States cargo boat, Housatonic, was forced to a halt near the Scilly Islands and was eventually sunk. No sailors were killed or even injured, though. The Housatonic captain, P.A. Enzer, later told the New York Times that he stopped his vessel after a German submarine had fired warning shots. After that, a few German sailors and a young German officer entered his vessel and requested he join them in the submarine. On the submarine was Captain Hans Rose that greeted him and was able to converse with him in flawless English. The commander explained to Enzer that you are carrying foodstuffs to an enemy of my country, and though I am sorry, it is my duty to sink you. Keep smiling. While Enzer protested, he was surprised about the friendly reception. The sailors of the Housatonic, together with Enzer, were allowed to abandon ship and sail away in their lifeboats. After the German submarine fired a torpedo and sunk the Housatonic, The Germans sailed towards the lifeboats and threw a rope to the sailors. Rose offered to tow them to shore, and 2 hours later the submarine had towed them close to Penzance. It was there they detected a British patrol boat. Instead of fleeing, the U-53 shot a torpedo to get the attention of the British. Then it descended, and the British could do nothing but pick up the sailors that had been towed by the U-53. By the end of the war, it had sunk 87 merchant ships and 1 warship. Hans Roos was awarded the Pour le Mérite and the Ritterkreuz des Hohenzollern Hausordens mit Schwertern. Some of the adventures he embarked on are definitely worth retelling. Thank you for watching this video, and what is an interesting event or person from the First World War that you would like to know more about and perhaps see a video of? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to my channel. See you next time.